All right, let's see if this thing runs. Folks, welcome back to the broadcast. We're using some new streaming software, so I hope we don't have too many technical issues with this thing. But welcome back to Two Guys Take on Real Estate. You know me as Kevin the Property Prince, and I wanted to hang out with you guys a little bit today. We're going to keep talking some more about working with rental property in the wintertime. If you've ever thought about real estate investing and you haven't taken a second to hit the follow button on us, take a minute, hit the follow button. Make sure you drop some likes on this broadcast as well so other people can find this broadcast. If you're looking to learn about real estate, why not hear about it from people that have an incredible amount of experience and aren't trying to sell you a course? So we maybe someday we'll try to sell you a course. You know, we could use an extra couple of bucks for our time. Who wouldn't want to do that? But right now, we want to talk to you guys about how we can help you move forward on your path to financial freedom. Say hello to each other, drop a comment, let me know where you're watching from, because so much of this stuff that we're going to talk about is going to be different for different people in different regions of the state. And thank you, by the way, for all the likes. We've got a lot of people already popping on. We're going to talk today a little bit about real estate for dummies. That's you. It's also me, let's face it. And dealing with rental property in the wintertime. We just had a situation come up that I wanted to mention and bring up to you guys. We actually did a couple of videos about it. One of them went for over 1.2 million views so far on Instagram. And it's about using a space heater near a thermostat. Is that the one that went really big on Instagram? I don't know. We've had a lot of things that go kind of big. SoCal, Phoenix, Connecticut. What's up? We're almost neighbors. I'm right over the Mass line. I want to move further south, but what's up, Connecticut people? And Arizona. Oh my God. All right. We got people everywhere. Look at that. And 10K enough to get started. There's so many ways to get started. We're going to get to some of that stuff. We got started with $15,000, Matt and I, and we bought our first two-family property. We used the Burr method and a hard money loan to get going on it. Boston. What's up, Boston? I love seeing people here from Massachusetts and people here that are just far enough away from me to not be able to stalk me online, you creepers. I'm just kidding. But thanks so much for being on here. I see. Did I just see Chloe join up? Guys, if you don't follow Chloe LeDuc, she's right now watching live on Instagram. Make sure you follow her. She's an upcoming realtor. We actually just bought an awesome property from her. It's a mixed-use commercial and residential, so I'm super psyched that she's here to answer some questions too. Everybody coming on here from everywhere. Thanks so much for joining up, guys. I see a lot of people in some areas like North Dakota, Montreal, that are going to deal with wintry weather, cold temperatures. And we had a video that we posted about this. It's when a tenant thinks that their heating system isn't working, and it's your fault as the landlord. So they live in a cold area, the heat needs to be on in their apartment, and they're calling you flipping out saying, it's freezing in my bedrooms, it's warm in my living room, but it's freezing in my bedrooms, and you guys got to fix it. You get out to the property, you evaluate the situation, and what do you see? You see that you're using a space heater of some sort in the living room. What else is usually located in the living room, the largest room of the house or apartment? The thermostat. So their heating system isn't turning on because the thermostat is sensing an air temperature that's warm enough to say to the heating system, you don't need to turn on, everything's running fine. So it's sensing that warm air temperature because they've got a space heater right next to it. And we just had this issue. We have this issue all the time. Guys, I've had 500 rental units at one point, all at the same time. It means we've had thousands and thousands of tenants that we've had experience with. And we work with a lot of challenging areas, C and D class properties, the kind of streets and neighborhoods you wouldn't want to walk down at noon, never mind at midnight. And let me tell you, a lot of these folks are living in homes. They have no idea how to live on their own, how to function in these living on their own in an apartment. So you can imagine that they'll have these kind of deficiencies when it comes to managing heating an apartment themselves. So you have a heating system, you have a thermostat on the wall, and this person happened to have one of those, decorative fireplaces, the electric fireplaces that maybe you put your TV on, something like that, and it happened to be right next to the thermostat. And they, watch TV, turn their electric fireplace on, and it's warming that living room up, and it's warming it up nice and toasty, making it 75 degrees in there. Unfortunately, this thermostat set to 70, we'll say 72, something also cozy, right? If you're paying your own bills, I want to know what you guys are setting your thermostats to if you're paying your own bills, because at my house, it's chilly. I keep it nice and cold because it's just me and the bunny rabbit, and she's got a fur coat. So, right, 72 degrees is what the thermostat's set to. They got their electric space heater fireplace thing running right next to it. Of course, their heating system is going to kick on because the thermostat is telling the heating system, hey, it's warm in here. It's above 72. So you can stay shut off. And now their bedrooms are freezing cold. So what do you guys think about that? How do you communicate that to somebody? Have you seen something like that? If you don't, this is something that you need to be prepared for. Is you're going to get those complaints, and thank God this complaint came to us, because a lot of times tenants won't actually do that. They won't actually complain to the landlord or talk to the landlord about it. They'll just start filing lawsuits. They'll start calling the city, the board of health, the code enforcement, whatever you call it, or they just won't start. They just stop paying rent, and then when you try to collect it, maybe eventually you have to take them to court because they've given you no other option, right? Then they say, well, I haven't had heat in months. And now you're dealing with this bizarre counterclaim that was never reported to you. And had it been reported, investigated, your maintenance people would have been able to go out and say, listen, you have a thermostat right here, and you have your space heater, your fireplace, electric fireplace right next to it, tricking it out so it thinks that it's warm enough in there. So they're like, yeah, we haven't had heat. Our bedrooms are freezing. And now they'll argue it with you. Believe it or not, we'll go to the property. This one actually reported it to us. We go to the actual property and we look at the situation. They say, listen, the heat's never working right here. I hate it here. This isn't fair. You want our rent every month, but you don't want to fix nothing, right? I mean, this is literally the kind of stuff you will always often hear. I try not to speak in absolutes. But let me tell you, man, you get out there and you see exactly this. Your training, your experience, my experience will tell you this is probably the issue. So you troubleshoot, you make sure everything's running properly, and then you realize and help them understand they're actually the reason the system isn't turning on and isn't working. And then you help them try to understand this thermostat right here, that sets the temperature for the house. The thermostat thinks it's already 75 in here, so it's not turning the heat on. So we literally will tell them, shut off your fireplace, stop that electric fireplace, leave it off for a while, like give me 8 hours and we'll come back to the next day, leaving it off. And then they'll say, listen, so we have to freeze for 12 hours. We have to freeze overnight because the heat doesn't work. And we have to try to help them understand that everything working fine. You're doing this. And the thought process, the connecting between the two of those things is actually a really hard thing to communicate and help people understand. Living room gives good heat, but bedrooms kind of stink. See, I mean, that's an example. So, I mean, don't forget, right? I said troubleshoot the system, make sure everything's working properly. There sometimes will be an issue where maybe, I don't know what kind of heat you might have in your house. There's all kinds of different heat, folks. There's steam heat, there's radiant hot water heat, there's electric heat. Everybody has different types of heating systems. There's no reason to think that maybe there is an issue with a line got clogged or stopped working somewhere. Make sure everything is working properly. But when you can diagnose that and say, hey, everything's working properly, the only thing that's going wrong here is user error. Now you have to have a coaching moment with the tenant. You have to help them understand this stuff. And man, we talk about this stuff a ton. You can't learn this better than I keep telling you here. Coaching your tenants is a huge part of being a successful rental property manager, investor, whatever you want to call yourself. Coaching your tenants from bad behaviors, which this is a bad behavior. They're creating a maintenance concern, reporting it to you, and a lot of these folks will be very aggressive about it, very frustrated by it. Understandable. Look, some of these people are grown adults and they've had bad landlords in the past. So they draw on their past experiences, maybe with some what they thought is a bad landlord, and they project that onto you thinking you're a bad landlord too. I love it when we get maintenance calls because it gives us the ability to really kind of flex and show that we're going to hold up our responsibilities as a good landlord, as somebody who's renting out property and actually cares and will do fulfill their responsibilities in full. It gives you an opportunity to show them I'm prepared to do my part of the deal. I've been doing my part of the deal. I'm going to continue to do it. And when something goes wrong, hey, things are going to go wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Buildings, homes, they only wear out the more you use them. A car breaks down. A car doesn't magically improve. It only gets worse. Things will only break the more you use it. It's how you resolve those issues. It's how you fix them and overcome those challenges and how you treat people while you're doing it. That way, you don't have to at all feel bad about putting your hand out when it comes time for the tenant to fulfill one of their responsibilities, collecting rent, or going over and having a conversation with them when they're not filling one of their other responsibilities, like living peacefully as a good neighbor. So wintertime rentals will give you a lot of opportunities where you're going to get a lot of incoming, reports, complaints, things like that. And what's going to end up happening is you have to then kind of parse through that, figure out if you're deficient or if it's the tenant that's doing something wrong, and then help them and bridge that communication gap. But I'll tell you, space heaters in a room where a thermostat is will be a huge part of owning a property in the wintertime, whether you include the heat or it's separate and they have full control over it. what's going to end up happening is they're going to feel that they need to use the space heater all the time because the heat doesn't turn on because they use the space heater, which caused the heat to not turn on. You get what I'm saying? It's a weird situation. Let me just kind of run through some of these comments. I love the interaction and I love all the likes. I got to tell you, the Instagram people blow up the likes way more than the TikTok people do, which is so strange because we're getting darn close to 1 million followers on TikTok. It's just the Instagram people who were yelling. They were right. They were right to yell at me. They were right to say, get over here on IG Live and spend more time with us because they clearly have a lot more interaction. So, hey, Instagram people, thanks so much for carrying the likes. I do appreciate that. And we are using new streaming software. So right now I'm on both. So I actually see Instagram and TikTok people. And there's even a couple of YouTube people watching live on YouTube. Guys, we have a huge YouTube channel that we're hoping is going to be the next thing to blow up. So we'd love to get to 50,000 followers and subscribers or whatever you call it on YouTube. You can help us out by clicking some likes, giving us some interaction over there. It could be your comment about my ridiculous face that gets our channel to blow up. And you know what? I'll take it. If you haven't been answering our polls, by the way, the polls make me cry. So check out our polls on YouTube and feel free to troll the hell out of us. Let me check out some of these comments over here because I don't want to ignore too many of you guys here. Just some of you. Setting expectations, by the way. Who is that? Setting expectations is huge. I just saw that. That's absolutely the biggest REI with Adam. Dude, Adam, gold right there. 100% gold. If there's nothing you can learn better, it's setting reasonable, obtainable expectations for all parties. And then whenever your expectation is time for you to step up, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver is always a phrase. You might have heard that. But setting expectations, having that stuff reduced to writing is even better. And then always exceed your expectations whenever possible. If you need to put up a tenant in a hotel because their heating system broke, which we just had that issue, instead of saving a few bucks and going for the $80 a night motel, spring $40 more, $50 more. Who cares? You're replacing a heating system. It's costing you $10,000, right? Spend an extra $100 and treat your tenant to a much nicer accommodation. They will love the fact that you went the very small extra mile when you think about it comparably, right? And it will take an inconvenience into a staycation for them. I'm telling you, this stuff is huge. Don't be so penny wise and pound foolish in these things. So I'm trying to check out Brian Scully, who was commenting about his heating issue or something he's experiencing. Electric heat, old knobs, can't tell when we were at 70. I go to, dude, yeah. I hate people hate electric heat for various reasons. I'll tell you one thing I like about it is usually electric heat is individually zoned. So you can have some rooms warmer, some rooms cooler. That's how I'll pitch it and sell it to people. And I'll say, listen, because look, we'll have an apartment once in a while with electric heat. And people will be like, no, I don't want electric. I said, well, why is that? They're like, oh, the bill's really high. I said, with a central, like a gas heating system, you have to heat this whole place. Maybe it's a big apartment. Maybe it's 1,500 square feet. You have to heat this whole place during the day when you're maybe only using a room or two. Electric heat lets you turn down the bedrooms and maybe up the living room when you're out of your bedroom in the daytime and in the living room or something. And did you know you can actually turn down the heat in some parts and warm other parts up? Wouldn't you think that would be? Yeah. So it's a little bit of salesmanship, sure, but there is that. Question, looking to buy a home for the first time, tell me, what would you say? First step would be learning about house hacking, Brian, for sure. Learning about house hacking is something I wish I had done early on. I had the idea. I just didn't think I was grown up enough to do it. I was like, no, that's something adults buy houses. I was probably 22. I was like, I'm only 22. I'm not ready to buy a house. I don't know how to fix anything. Man, house hacking is something you should learn about. We do teach it on YouTube, and we'd be happy to support you over there. So find us on YouTube, subscribe, and then learn about house hacking with us. That is absolutely something you can do. The market isn't active in the winter. Easy to buy sometimes. No, I just came back from doing an appraisal on an 8-unit property that we were partnering up with some other folks on acquiring. It's 1 bedrooms and efficiencies, and then a little like a barbershop commercial space on the ground level. And there's still deals to be had. Wholesaling strategies always apply. So you can, you can be out there shopping and hunting for deals, while regular people that are looking to buy off of MLS and stuff like that, they're waiting maybe till spring. How do you deal with rental lawsuits, by the way? User X Cakes, if you're still here, I know that question was probably a while ago. We deal with them a lot of different ways. Most things are onion approaches, right? Multiple layers. So there's not like a one-time thing that's going to get you out of any kind of jam. So if you're still here, X Cakes, I don't know if you're still watching or if you're like, I asked a question and then I ran. The first thing I would say is as he mentioned, somebody else mentioned, setting expectations. That's a huge thing. And then communication and respectful, firm communication. present both, your side. I understand what you're saying. I understand you're upset about not having sufficient heat. But here's on my end of things, here's what I'm thinking, and here's my position on it. We've given you sufficient heat. In fact, every time you've reported a heating issue, and I have all the documentation of it, every time, here's the work orders, here's the evaluation, here's the inspection, whatever. Every time we get out there, we keep finding that it's in the 70s in every room of your home. We test this stuff, we document it, we take photos. So whatever it is that they may be dealing with, they may be bringing against you, hopefully you've been responsive to. So communication, be responsive. Go out, resolve the issue, talk about the issue, document the issue. Some people are going to be unreasonable everywhere in life, and they're going to want to find a way to, they're just not going to want to listen to you. They're going to want to continue doing their thing, blaming others, and eventually, sue or whatever. At that point, you're not dealing with resolving the issue with them. You're dealing with resolving the issue with a reasonable third party, which would end up being a mediator or a judge, somebody like that, code enforcement, maybe a local government. So that's where, documenting everything is so important. And that's early on, that was one of the best pieces of advice we got from the beginning, which was have good management software. And we ignored it because management software was expensive at the time. And that's why we have a few videos talking about that rent-ready management software company. They do a great job for beginners. You can organize everything. You'll be able to document stuff. Oh, I see you said here. Okay. It's an amazing way to start, and it's very, very cheap. There was a promo code. There should still be one. So if you do check out Rent Ready and you want to sign up for them, it's 2 and then the word guys, just like you see here, the number 2 and the word guys. The word 2, the number guys, just like you see it written. It'll get you 50% off. It's already cheap at full price. So if the promo code doesn't work, don't sweat it. It's still freaking cheap, but a half price for the management software. Even if you have 2 rental units, you should have software. Don't do it yourself. Don't do it with Dropbox and spreadsheets. That's what we did. The recipe for disaster. Oh, my girl isn't going to have a problem. House hacking. I want to get a fourplex when I'm 18. Dude, that's the way to go. 100%. I would do that again in a second. I should have done it. I bought a single family house. I should have done it instead of that. I still regret it. As I turn up my heat, I realize I'm heating my entire single family house just for me and my bunny rabbit. And I say, oh my gosh, this is really, really dumb. I should be living in a freaking apartment, renting out 3 other units. And the difference in cost, I could be driving a brand new car, brand new Tesla with the money I'm just throwing away to have the privacy of a single family all to myself. Hard to get a great deal using FHA, to be honest. Yeah, right now, absolutely it is. That's very true. On the other hand, if you're using FHA to get a 4-family house, pay a little bit more, but have almost no expenses by doing a house hack. Yeah, you pay, you don't get a great deal on the house. The great deal at this point is incredibly low starting, barrier to entry, 3.5% down payment, really great rates still, amazingly low rates compared to, years ago. And then the ability to have units that essentially cover all of your living costs and then some. So I'm trying to catch up, and I know we are on the topic of winter rentals, so I do want to stick to questions about, that kind of topic, if you don't mind. Are you prior service loves seeing veterans? No, I'm not. I'm just a guy who loves this country, I guess. I just happen to be a guy that likes America. I don't know. Just an awesome T-shirt, I guess. But thank you, and maybe kind of a short haircut to go with it. But yeah, no. I appreciate it, and I do love working with veterans as well, and that's why I love talking about VA loans, which are able to get veterans up to a 4-family house with 0% down. What an amazing thing! I mean, veterans can turn around in with no money, almost no money out of pocket, become not just homeowners, but landlords, investment owners that actually can generate a ton of money for themselves with almost no money out of pocket. This is amazing. I just wish more people knew about it. That's why we created this channel, and that's why you guys are liking this feed like a crazy person, so that more people find this channel, hopefully subscribe, and share it with others so that everybody else has the opportunity to learn from people that have been in the game for a while. I know I don't look like much, but Matt and I together have had, not together, you get it, but business partners, guys, business partners. But we have had 500 rental units at one point, right? We've had thousands of freaking tenants. I mean, it's been a lot of tenants in and out of our homes over the years. We've done wholesale deals. We've done flips. We've done a ton of crap in the world of real estate, and we've made every stupid mistake you can make. And that's why we have these channels where we talk to you guys about this stuff, so you can avoid some of the absolute the nonsense we've been through. You don't have to go through that. You don't have to go through the struggle. It's nice to talk about success, and we all want to share success and success stories, but that's what the internet is flooded with a bunch of dudes that are super wealthy and very successful, but they look it, right? They're all dressed with the suits and they're hopping out of Lamborghinis and they're picking up rent in their Teslas and stuff. I don't want to do that. I mean, maybe someday I'd love to do that. But I mean, I want to basically show you the real inside of this stuff and share our struggles versus talking about our success. I want to share more of our struggles with you guys so that way you can avoid them. That's a huge thing, I think, for us. You have a VA loan. Can you expect to use? Is the limit 4 on VA? Yeah. So I mean, right there, you guys right in the comments are helping each other out a little bit. If you can get into a VA loan, that's freaking amazing. I mean, dude, get into a VA loan situation. It's an awesome thing that we do. Not we. I mean, America does. To support vets. I mean, that's awesome, and really should be taken advantage of if possible. You can use it for up to a 4-family house, and you can get into these things with as little as nothing out of your pocket. Which means all you have to do is do a rental analysis. We had a worksheet on our YouTube channel for a while. I don't know if it's still there, but analyze the property, the incoming, the income from the units, the outgoing expenses, your landscaping. Don't forget landscaping. I mean, I've had somebody that bought a portfolio of property and they paid full price for this. And it's nice properties, but there were razor thin margins that they were going to cash flow on it. So they bought it. They're like, look, this should be really nice property. We should be able to make a few bucks a month on it. And once they took into the fact that it's in Massachusetts, they got to do snow removal, they got to do landscaping, lawn care, and all that, sidewalks, and you name it. After they factor that in, they make almost no money. They left out several expenses that, on a very razor thin deal, tip the scales. Now they're making almost nothing a month. And they have to be landlords and deal with all that risk and all the BS, right? So really, evaluate a property fully before you buy it. And we can talk to you more about that kind of stuff too. And again, that's why we jump into these kind of broadcasts. We talk about winter rental stuff. A lot of people don't think about this. Right now, we just had a 2-family. I was talking about it yesterday on yesterday's broadcast. We have a 2-family house with tenants that have been there multiple years, and the heating system died. But it doesn't die in June on a schedule. It dies unexpectedly, and they of course die in the winter when you're using them. And this died Sunday morning. So how do you fix a heating system Sunday morning? You don't, right? So if it needs parts, you're probably waiting on Monday. In this case, it needed a whole heating system. So now you have tenants that are out there without heat that are looking to you, and guess what? That's your job, buddy. I mean, you bought the place. That's what they pay rent for. I loved renting. I loved renting because I didn't have to deal with worrying about a heating system or a roof needing to be replaced or any of that crap. If there was ever an issue, somebody else's problem, right? So and now if you're the investment guy, right, it's your problem. You're the one on the hook for it. So not only do you have to deal with having the money and the ability to quickly replace the heating system in the dead of winter, 0 degrees yesterday or the other day, right? Now you have to also deal with what do you do with the tenants for a couple of days? It's, are you going to make them go somewhere else? I mean, obviously, right? There's an inconvenience factor there. Maybe you owe them a couple bucks for that or something nice, right? If you're probably gonna have to put them up in a hotel. Are you gonna put them up in a $80 a room shack that you wouldn't stay in? Or are you gonna treat them somewhere nice, so that their inconvenience is a lot lessened by decent accommodations. So we talk about this kind of stuff. Many tenants don't know about to shut off outside faucets as well in the winter. Winterizing is important. Winterizing is huge. There was actually a TikTok video we did last winter, and my God, the house looked like it was peeing. It was just, I pulled up to the property and it was almost hitting the neighbor's house. The water spigot had completely popped and was just shooting across, had flooded the driveway, was down in the street, turned it into an ice skating rink. Had been going on for hours. Yeah. Mediators to judge tenants side more with the tenants since they think they have more resources. They're fair. State by state, this kind of stuff is going to be different, guys. So Fred, when you get into a court situation, I'll tell you, you don't want to be in a court situation. You should not have to be in a court situation. If you're doing your job and you're effective and you're fair, you'll avoid court. The reason you end up in court is a tenant is doing this. I'm not listening. I don't want to talk to you. I'm mad. And you're not getting them to come to the table and discuss stuff. Going to court is a loss right there. If you're a landlord, you never want to go to court. You never want to evict somebody. Walking in there itself, you've already lost a lot. It's already your last resort to do that. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, folks. What was that?
I need your windows.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, give me a few minutes. All right. Thank you.
I'll go see that. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So if you get into court, that's where you don't want to be. I love court. I work with the court system all the time, however, but it comes with a lot of paying the price and dealing with getting a lot of experience with it. If I have to be there, I love the fact that our court, and this is where I say it depends on where you're at, has a lot of resources that help you resolve this stuff without having to go and throw something in front of a judge. I like to think I'd be very happy to have a judge shadow me all day, every day, and be part of my interactions. In fact, that's one of the ways I decide how I'm going to do this kind of stuff. Is I think, what would the judge say if he heard my conversation? Well, most of my conversation. What would the judge say if he was in the room and I had to make this decision? If this is a decision I'm going to make, am I going to stand up in front of a judge and then back up what I decided to do? Is this fair? So I would say, though, laws generally in states like Mass, the states, right? Cali, New York, those kind of places are horribly lopsided in favor of the tenants, and it's not even close. It's abusive to investors, property owners, small businesses, that kind of thing. And then region by region, the judges themselves, of course, just like any other situation, the judges are going to have tendencies one way or another as well. So you have to kind of know that stuff. What I did when I first started is I treated it like the Jerry Springer show. I went to housing court. We actually have a court for housing matters. And I just hung out there and watched cases after case after case. I just sat there and tried not to catch bed bugs and watch case after case of tenants going up there with their landlord, arguing their sides out, the kind of questions and thought processes I could discern from a judge, and basically try to help build my mentality around it. And that's kind of the way I would suggest you do the same type of thing is learn the rules to Monopoly before you play. Don't start playing and then complain about the rules. Hope that kind of helps out a little bit. I know that was a long rant. Do you service your annually your furnaces before winter? 100%. Yes. Always get out there. Always be doing that kind of stuff. Yep. How can I check my two-family home value? You can always do an appraisal. You can always do a drive-by appraisal. They're very inexpensive. That might be something to do if you're looking for kind of more of a real value than what frickin' Zillow will give you. Winter's not much of an issue in Dubai. Well, good for you. Way to rub it in, dude. I appreciate it. Here, I got remote start on the Jeep, so I don't have to freeze my butt off when I go outside. So I appreciate it. Good. Thanks for rubbing it in. I appreciate the troll. Good man. When a landlord is letting their self in without a 24-hour notice or an emergency, if you have a problem with that, vocalize it and address it. Some people really don't care. I could care less. If I report to my landlord that I need something fixed in my apartment and the dude drops by and takes care of it while I'm at work, I don't care, personally. But if whatever your operating agreement is, whatever your lease is what they should be going by. But if you care, say something first. Hey, listen, I understand you came by to fix my stove. I didn't know you were coming. Just in the future, please let me know. That communication. Don't necessarily flip out. If you have a huge problem with that, still let them know. Hey, listen, really, this is a big deal to me. My privacy is important. I'm scared of, I'm paranoid of this, or I don't like that. It's in our lease. Please respect my privacy in the future. That kind of a thing. Warning shot. Bring it up. Object to it. That kind of a thing. Set them straight. Do it in writing. Have a phone conversation. Have a verbal conversation. That's no problem. But then throw it in writing. And then during that verbal conversation, be like, listen, just I'm just gonna, if it's okay, just to recap this, I'm gonna throw you an email just to recap our conversation, just so I have it and it's on record or whatever. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a jerk about it, right? You don't have to be a huge jerk. But deal with it that way is the best way I could do it. Say to do it. I've had lots of people. I've had hundreds and hundreds of units, thousands of tenants, and I've had tenants claim we never told them anything. I'm like, look, we notified you by email and we left a voicemail. I can't help it if you don't check any of this stuff. We told you we're coming out. And frankly, what's the big deal? We told you we were coming out. You requested that we come out. We came out. I don't like it when people will request we come out. We'll schedule it with them. We come out and then they refuse access. That happens quite a bit. We charge for that. So we started putting a policy together where we charge for that. Listen, this is our time. We told you what we're doing. You want us to come out and do something. You're wasting our time now. And, we charge a fee. It's not to be punitive. It's not to be a jerk about stuff. But what it's hopefully to do, and we'll waive the fee if people really request it. But, it's to encourage people to basically cooperate, show that we have some value to our time, and recover some of our costs if they're being unreasonable about this stuff. But document this stuff as well on both sides. Document that you reported it. He let himself in and stole one of my animals. Okay. I never requested him to come out. Well, then that's more like a breaking and entering in a theft situation. It's a little bit different than that. But if you know that's the case, then deal with it how you feel is accordingly. If you feel like you stole an animal, then I'd be emotional. I got it. Then I would freaking be, I'd be locked and loaded and on my way to his house, man. If somebody came to my house and stole my rabbit, don't even think about it, you internet weirdos, stalker people. No, seriously, if somebody came out to my house, I would be on the hunt for you. Maybe I would call law enforcement, but I'd be in the car on the move. First things first. So I don't know how you want to handle that, but man, yeah, that's just a thief, dude. If that's what really transpired or however all that went down, that's a thief. That's not a landlord anymore. That's somebody being a crook. Do you use snow removal companies or place it on tenants? That's a great question, Adam. So snow removal, and setting expectations again on that is really important, and including that hopefully in your operating or your lease agreement. The way we generally do it is on single family houses, and that's why I love single family houses. That's all part of the tenant's responsibility, and it's factored into everything. So if a tenant really, wanted to rent that house but didn't want that responsibility, we would just adjust the price on it, and we would have that taken care of, and it would be included. Just like if we were including a heat in a property or including a freaking butler service. You want me to come make you scrambled eggs for breakfast? No problem. It's going to be included in the price. So with snow removal on single family houses where it's not shared use of anything, we shift it over to the responsibility of the tenant. On multifamily houses, wherever it's a shared walkway, the front sidewalk, the main walkway going to the house itself, where everybody would go and share it as a common area, we would maintain all that stuff as part of the owner's responsibility. And we'd never like to delegate that out to a tenant. Otherwise, private walkways, private stairs, maybe it's a duplex. So you have the front sidewalk and then you have two private walkways, one to each door. That we would shift onto the individual tenant for the non-shared walkways. We actually had somebody tried to sue. They failed horribly. I'll give you this quick story. Then I'm going to have to hop off shortly. I'll give you this quick story. We had a two-family house, similar to what I just described. We had people on their own private walkways, and they claimed they slipped and fell. And they probably did. I'm sure they did. Who knows? But they claimed they got injured, my neck, my back. Dude, it's the weirdest thing. But in Massachusetts, if anything ever goes wrong for somebody, it's all like these horrible, horrible, life-changing injuries when there's someone else that they can blame. Once they realize they're not, everybody's like, just dust themselves off and they're good. But you have to keep mileage well documented. You have to keep everything well documented. Can you claim mileage on your personal vehicle? Yeah, you have to keep all that stuff well documented, obviously. And most of this stuff, honestly, you can document work orders. You can document all this kind of stuff using management software. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't checked out Rent Ready, it's REDI, Rent Ready. It's spelled dumb, but don't tell them I said that. Hi, Rent Ready, if you're watching. Check them out. That is definitely a great software to get started for newbies, and it's stupidly cheap. If you use promo code of the word 2 and then the word guys, it should get you an extra 50% off. They were working with us a long time ago or a while ago. I don't know if they still have that promo code going, but try it out. But let me tell you, this two-family house, wintertime, right? It snows. We then eventually get a call from some pretty bad tenants, and they're bad in every sense. I don't like to label people bad tenants unless they are beyond, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Beyond reproach. Just they fail in every way. They don't pay. They trash the place. The neighbors hate them. They turned it into bugs and mice infestations. I mean, it's bad. Well, they also didn't do any shoveling, right? So let me tell you, they claimed they slipped and fell walking, and they even showed us a picture of where it happened and picture like kind of them, I don't know, reenacting it or whatnot. The picture was worth 1,000 words. In this case, worth the lawsuit, because the picture absolutely completely threw their lawsuit apart. So did our documentation and the lease agreement. So we had it in writing that they were responsible for non-shared, for individual use walkways. The picture showed where they claimed they slipped and fell was a non-shared walkway. So it would have been their responsibility. The picture also showed that they were two obese women wearing flip-flops in the wintertime, not exactly appropriate footwear. And why the out of shapeness part of things comes in? Well, they weren't very nimble, was my point, and they were trying to climb across a barbecue grill that was tipped over in the walkway that had frozen into the walkway that they didn't properly maintain. Their barbecue grill was obstructing their path that they were required to maintain. They're wearing inappropriate footwear and weren't physically up to the skill set required to jump over this thing or kind of climb over this grill. So they both slipped and fell because one fell and grabbed the other one and knocked her down with it. And they both claimed, oh my gosh, they never freaking worked a day in their life, but they're like, oh no, we can't work and our pain and our suffering and all this other stuff. And this whole thing got laughed right the hell out. I don't know what happened to it, but nobody got paid anything on this. Eventually, they got evicted, and we have some great pictures of that apartment. I don't know where they went, but it was a few years back. The property has been sold long since. It's in a pretty tough area, so we were happy to see them go. But you can't make this stuff up. Everything, it's always somebody else's fault until you can prove that it's not. Documentation is huge. Property management software is what saved the day on that. Without that, we even had our contractor, who does snow removal. They went out and they did the shared walkway, the shared sidewalk in front of the property. But under the contract, they didn't do the parts, or maybe they did, but they didn't really do the parts that were non-shared. So that wasn't our responsibility. And they timestamp it with photographs. So when you do work, you don't get credit for it unless you can prove you did it. Let me tell you, you're going to hear my landlord no fix nothing. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I am a little bit because they're lying, right? So why would you have the respect to not make fun of them when people are freaking lying about you doing your responsibilities? But unless you show documentation, like a work order, photos or video or something like that, showing you did the work, it's going to be a 50-50. You're going to be doing a coin toss on if somebody believes you actually did something. And that's going to be, you're going to hear sob story after sob story. We had to experience all this hardship. That's my tenant voice, I guess. We had to go through all this because they don't fix anything. And my baby this and my grandma that. And I've been sick and I'm whatever it's going to be. You're going to hear all this horrible inflated sob story, all because they had a loose doorknob. And then you're going to turn around and say, listen, that loose doorknob was resolved, a week after they reported it. Here's the work order. Here's the photographs. I don't know what they're talking about. We literally, here's all of the paperwork. They're just making up these claims. And in the meantime, you fixed a whole bunch of trivial issues, but now they're also trying to say, they have lead poisoning. They've got, they've had no heat for 6 months. It's like, where's all these complaints coming? You didn't report any of this stuff, but you reported a squeaky cabinet door, and we took care of it. It seems like you would have probably reported no heat, since you do know how to report stuff, and made that an issue. But, we obviously attended to these other things that you did report. We have these receipts. We have a documentation process for how people can report things. This stuff is huge, and this stuff is all done through management software. So don't underestimate it. It's good stuff, really good stuff. Section 8 pays more than regular rent. In our experience, we find that it typically pays a little bit less, to be honest. And in our area, very, very challenging programs to work through. A lot of bureaucracy and red tape. There's a lot of myths about Section 8 being the way to go to have guaranteed payment and all this other stuff. I can talk to you about the cons, and I'm not going to talk to you about the cons about, Section 8 tenants are trash. They're the worst people out there. They're garbage tenants, but you get paid. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't believe that. I can tell you there's a lot of trashy, bad, garbage tenants that aren't on Section 8. There's a lot of great tenants that are respectful and kind and cooperative that are on Section 8. So I will always tell people that. And I'll tell you, in our area, if you want to move in a Section 8 tenant, it could take you months of that property sitting vacant while you're going through the process to get a Section 8 tenant in, versus somebody who's just a regular person working a regular job and paying to move into a place. So factor that in, and you tell me, you're going to have maybe a few months of downtime, and they could back out at any point. We've had people take months to go through the Section 8 program, to do the paperwork, to go to move in. Lease signing day comes and goes. We kept the place vacant for 2 months, waiting for today, and then they don't show up for lease signing. And Section 8 can't force them to take the unit. Nobody can force them to reimburse you for the downtime. That's 2 months. Maybe that's $3,000 that you waited on. You could have gone with 10 other people that wanted your apartment. You went with this person, and they dragged you through this huge paperwork process. You're filling out forms and packets and submitting deeds and lead certificates and W-9 forms, and you're doing all this crap, multiple inspections. You're doing government inspections, and sometimes you have to pay for these inspections. You have to actually pay to have your place inspected for a tenant to move in. The tenant doesn't have to pay for it. Insane. And then they just say, you know what? Nah, I decided I'm going to stay where I'm at. It's too cold. I don't want to get a moving truck. My landlord's going to let me stay. I'll stay. You're like, what? Now you got to start listing it and showing it again. This is real stuff. This does happen. Section 8 programs are different state by state and even region to region within the states. But I'll tell you, learn about this stuff by learning from us and hanging out with people that have been through it. We don't try to sell you on a program of why you should do Section 8 or why you shouldn't. We just share our experiences with you, our struggles and our success. Section 8 due tenants during the pandemic, since there was a rent halt. Man, I'm to generalize just a little bit. Everybody that could take advantage during the pandemic did. The eviction moratorium was probably one of the dumbest things, and thank God it was ruled unconstitutional this past year and thrown out. But mostly mostly people that took advantage when they didn't need to. I'll tell you, a lot of our tenants that are on fixed incomes, in other words, government money given to them, they didn't have an interruption of money coming in. They didn't have a financial hardship. They just chose to not pay. And they went through the program that would then bail them out. We go through working all of our tenants through these programs. And then they just use the program again and again. We had a drug dealer. Dude has a rimmed up 6 Series parked out in front of his house. They hadn't paid rent. They haven't paid rent since 2019. They've received about $40,000 of your hard-earned taxpayer money. So thank you, by the way. But no financial hardship to be had. Just people utilizing the resources that are just handed out. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So we've had Section 8 tenants that their portion, right? They have to pay a portion, and the government pays the rest during the winter time, during a pandemic time, during the moratorium time. Doesn't matter. Those folks during those times, their portion is based on their income. So their income is, sometimes they have jobs, but otherwise it's all different government sources of money. They have 4 kids. They get SSI checks for each kid. That money comes into their household. They have to pay a portion of the rent based on their income. So that means if they have a portion that's due and they're not paying it due to financial hardships, that's ridiculous. The Section 8 department should have increased the amount of money they pay out to cover the rent, right? So if the tenant's income went down, Section 8's payments go up to offset that. That doesn't happen, right? So that means the tenant clearly had money coming in. They're just choosing to not pay it. They're making the conscious decision to spend it somewhere else, on something else. And then what they'll end up doing is they'll still go through these government taxpayer programs and have their portions. I had somebody that's got like a $13 rent share, hasn't paid it in years, drives an SUV, like a Lexus SUV. Insane. Trashes the place. The neighbors hate her. She's a bad tenant every which way. But what am I going to do? I'm going to evict her for a $13 a month rental charge? I don't know. So anyway, crazy stuff. But I can tell you these kind of stories for days and days. And I will if you keep me talking. Let's see. Rents go up down during 2008 crash. I don't know. I think the rents went down a bit as we started growing in our business after 2008 and up. Rents did start creeping up, but it took a while. Rents jumped up quite a bit, especially lately, because let's face it, everything else went up in cost too. So fuel costs, labor costs to maintain a property, supply costs to put a roof on, fix a heating system, all that stuff shot up through the roof. Guess what also went up during the pandemic? Taxes. So property taxes, especially now, right? These things just keep going up like crazy. Water and sewer costs went up like a massive percentage in our area. All the costs an owner has to bear have gone up dramatically. So naturally, rents go up dramatically to cover it as part of it. The other thing that changed again was the moratorium. So think about it, guys. If you're going to run a business and it all of a sudden becomes riskier to run that business, wouldn't you charge more to balance out that risk, right? You need more of a reward if you're going to take that risk. So that's kind of the same thing that's happened here. The government basically said, you know what? You're going to be the only business the only business in the country that can't collect payment for the services that you have to provide. We're going to force you to continue providing your services. If you try to collect payment, you're now going to be a criminal. So you can't require people to pay. And you have to keep doing it. You can't just stop providing your services. Somebody breaks something, you got to go fix it. Somebody's, heating bill becomes due, you got to go pay it. Doesn't matter if they're paying you or not. So they're requiring you to perform a service, whether you want to or not, and without payment. So shouldn't you charge a little bit more if you're going to be in that business? I would. It's crazy. So that's another reason rents went up is to balance out the risk. When you think about it like that, it makes a lot of sense. And it's once again, all this stuff happened. I don't want, not trying to, I'm a little patriotic t-shirt today. I'm not trying to be whatever, but a lot of this stuff really happened over the past year or so. Big jumps in all these expenses and all this stuff. Anyway, to start with fix and flips or rentals first, I don't know, man. I like the idea of doing rentals first. If you can use a BRRRR strategy, you can keep on going and going. But all of it is going to base on finding a great property, a great deal on a property. So wholesale strategies to help you acquire the property, and then you can decide what you want to do. If you're dealing with rentals, you're going to be dealing with, other hassle, like dealing with tenants and winter problems like we're talking about today. If you're dealing with a flip, well, that's great. You don't have any of those issues, but you only make your money one time, and now it stops coming in. You have to go back out and keep doing it. So a lot of people like the idea of doing rentals because you can build a portfolio. You'll be building equity. You're paying down, a mortgage, and you make some money every month, and you're steadily building a monthly income. So a lot of people like the rentals for that reason, but it's up to you how you want to do it. I will say, if you're going to go with the BRRRR strategy and you're going to deal with a rental portfolio, maybe if you have a great deal and you have equity in the property, you can put a line of credit on the properties. So you at least have access to that money, that equity money, if you need it for something. I notified my tenants by text and mailed a notice to vacate. Let's see how it goes by February 28th. Well, so I mean, again, state by state, everybody's different. What's up, Trodzilla? Everybody's different state by state, but I'm assuming they would have received delivery of that before the 1st of February. So it would have gone out and been received to them by the end of January, so that it's a true rental period notice and that you were able to do it as a rental period notice. Are you doing it for cause? Are you doing it for no cause? Some of those questions are there's all sorts of different types of evictions, but the idea is hopefully they'll just leave. If not, before you move into the eviction process, take a shot at resolving it. And in whatever way you do resolve it, put it in writing. You can also, and at least in our area, we'll continue with an eviction process. I always tell people this in our area. Start the eviction process. It's a long process, and you can take your foot off the gas anytime you want as the owner. So start the process, and then if you make an agreement, no problem. Keep the process going. File that agreement. Bring it into the court if you have to. File the agreement with the court. And that way, I mean, we do this all the time. This way, now it's governed by the court, and if they don't perform in that agreement, because shocker, that happens quite a bit. They'll agree to something like, I don't know, paying rent on time, and then they don't do it. They can back out. You can just bring it right back into court and say, hey, listen, we filed this as the law of the case. If they don't perform, this is what happens next, an eviction, a move out. So they didn't do it, what they promised, and we agreed they would do. Let's move to this stage. Or you can create a new agreement. Again, you have control over the process, and you move the process forward. So many times people will enter into an agreement. They'll stop the process. The tenant flakes. They don't perform. Now you have to restart the process sometimes over again, which does nothing but have bought the tenants even more time. So something to think about. Let's see. The welfare dependent people always gangbanging too. No comment. Socialism is the most dangerous thing to exist. You said it, buddy. You said it. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it is something we do have to keep in mind for sure, is that people will end up having an entitlement aspect of things. And that's what you see here. When you identify that that's what it is, you have to adjust your practices around it. So, if you know and understand the situation you're in, whatever kind of state you're in, et cetera, then you just have to, you'll be able to adapt to it and adjust your business practices around it. And when it comes to winter stuff, people want things at a certain temperature. People want things, snow removal done a certain way. Set expectations early on. Write those things down so that if there's any difference of opinion on how things should be done, you can go right back and say, listen, I don't know. I met you 6 months ago. We talked about it. We both agreed to this in writing. I feel like I've delivered on what we all agreed to. If you feel differently, let's talk about that. If you want something different, let's renegotiate, So that's also, another interesting part of this is you have a lot of control here. And if somebody objects to something, people change their mind on things. You say, listen, no problem. You want to, I just had an email come through. Somebody wants to add 2 people to a household. So there's a household that we rent to. Maybe there's 2 people living in already. And they want a daughter and grandkid to move in with them. I said, okay, no problem. If we were to agree to make those changes, would you agree that we could, change the rental price to something that's a little bit more reflective of current market value? And we're going to have more people in the household. It's more water and sewer usage, more hot water usage. It's going to be more wear and tear on the unit. And, you've been under rented for a long time. Let's talk about this. And if you want to do that, let's see if we can, work something out that's fair to everybody going forward. So it's an opportunity for you to, renegotiate, talk things out, and maybe work on some other stuff that maybe would benefit your end of the bargain as well. Anyway, guys, I hope some of this stuff was helpful. I see that we've had a lot of people here. We have almost 1,800 likes for a quick broadcast in the middle of the day from me. So thanks very much for being part of our channel, part of this broadcast. As always, we have, it seems like the Instagram people are always just crushing it by dropping likes on the feed. So thanks so much, Instagram, for showing up again and showing us TikTok people who means business. We do appreciate that. But we blew up on TikTok. We're huge over there. And we're trying to work our way up the Instagram and YouTube ladder. So if you guys are part of our channel on no matter what platform you like to use, please take a second and help us grow on our YouTube channel by dropping a subscription, a like, and a comment. Check out the polls and be part of our channel. We love to see people coming over and learning for free with people like us who have a lot of real estate experience and really want to just kind of share an unfiltered look. Maybe I should use some filters. I don't know. Right, ladies? And an unfiltered look at the world of real estate and share our experiences and our feedback with you to hopefully help guide you around some of the mistakes and struggles we've had so you can have an easier path forward on your journey to financial freedom. I heard a homeless man who made $50K on his first wholesale deal using gym showers and library PCs. I'm telling you, there's so many for every person out there that tells you they can't. There's gonna be stories like that about how they can. I really appreciate that example right there, whether it's embellished or not. Truly, there's always ways to rebut these different objections people have about why they can't be successful. So if you want to be successful, freaking do it. Start today by learning. If you're new here and you're wondering who I am, start today by learning, by watching some of our content, asking us questions on our videos, dropping comments and asking us questions, talking to other people, replying to other people's comments, asking them how they got started, what's holding them back. We love to see the interaction. We have a great community of people helping other people, especially people that are just getting started in learning. You wouldn't believe it, but so often people haven't taken action for the same reason as someone else hasn't taken action. And they have to say, listen, why haven't you done anything? Well, I'm not comfortable yet. I'm waiting for the market. I'm waiting for this. I want to learn more about that. And eventually people are going to, realize as you do this more, as you talk about it more, as you see more people interacting about it, it's not that scary, and it's not that impossible. It's very doable. You just have to start actually pulling the trigger and making a move. Can I do a burr soon? Yeah, baby. Yeah, we're definitely going to do a burr at some point. I got to move. We're just setting up and using this new software. So I'm going to move this setup upstairs where the that digital whiteboard thingy is. And I'll work on doing a burr video for you guys at some point soon. That's one of the best things everybody should know. And honestly, it's pretty easy to understand. If I can figure it out, you should be in great shape to be able to do this stuff. Any good title companies to work with in Arizona? I don't know at all. I'm sorry, Chase. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I've never been. I would love to be in Arizona, but no idea about what's going on out there. But that is a huge part of it. And that's a great question that you ask here. What I would suggest doing, Chase, is jumping into, if you're not already, a Facebook group for like real estate investors in your, Phoenix, Arizona market or whatever, and asking exactly that. Do networking local to you. That's part of building out your team. You got to get good go-to people for everything. Need a plumber, you know who to call. Need a real estate closing attorney, you've got that guy. Need a tenant attorney because, somebody's not paying, that person. That's really the way you should be doing, is setting up kind of an answer for everything. You don't have to have the knowledge for everything yourself. You just need to know who to go to locally, for that stuff. All right, I'm going to have to hop off, guys. Do you like creative finance deals like Sub2? Not really. I mean, we're getting more into that a little bit. We've had one where we were almost going to buy 47 units, 47 units, and with zero money out of pocket. We were that close. Like we were literally, I think we were on a point where we were coming on here. We were talking about it. $0 out of pocket on 47 occupied units. These are operating properties that cash flow. You're that close. So yeah, we would love to do that kind of stuff. But maybe who knows? Maybe that deal will come back. Maybe it's just a matter of 6 months from now. That deal will come back around. But this stuff is out there. The more you hang out with guys like us, girls, too, I guess what I'm saying is, but people that are in the world of real estate, the more you hang out with people that tell you how they did what they did, and just getting your brain trained to that world by just hanging out and doing it. If you're, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, make your coffee, whatever it is you do, throw on our YouTube and just put it on the sink while you're brushing. Actually, I do that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't watch me while I'm brushing my teeth, because I don't want to look at me either. But you get the idea. Listen to this kind of stuff. Throw us on as you're driving around in commuting and stuff. Instead of Netflix at night, put this on in the background instead of The Office or whatever. The idea is, it doesn't have to be us. I prefer it, but it doesn't have to be us. You get the idea. If you're training your brain by surrounding yourself in this kind of thing, you're going to acclimate to it too. And now when you drive down the street after a while, you're going to see opportunity where you were just noticing other stuff before. Now you're going to be honing in and zeroing in on the things that you're becoming aware of in the world of real estate. So hopefully some of this stuff, helps you out a little bit. And hopefully you guys have taken a second and found us and followed us on YouTube while you're here. Thanks to the people that I'm sure are watching right now on our YouTube live stream. We are streaming this. And I hope people replay it and watch it over there. This is going to be probably saved on YouTube, and you can rewatch it later if you want to as well. I'm buying my first 4-unit house with zero out of pocket. That's what I'm talking about. See, this stuff happens, and that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Where do we find people like you? I was going to say some pretty questionable businesses in your area. No, we're all over the place. Seriously, but you can find us all over the place on YouTube as well. Hi there, flirty Sarth. I thought it was Sarah. After 14 units, single mom and driven. That's what. See, look at this. Look at this. Inspirational. Make your own channel. We want to hear more from you. Yes, let's go, Brandon. I agree. Let's go, Brandon. Indeed, it's always okay to start a "Let's Go, Brandon" chant on our threads. We have a great time with that stuff. As everybody starts reporting. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think most of the people that are interested in being financially successful are going to be triggered by hearing "Let's Go, Brandon." Right? All right, guys. Thanks so much for being part of our channel. Thanks again for being here. And all the likes and the views and the shares. I hope some people were able to find us for the first time and follow. And if you haven't, take a second and share this feed, share our page with anybody that you might know that's looking to improve themselves financially in the world of real estate, or just learn that these kind of options are out there. If you know somebody that watches just way too much, hot girls twerking on TikTok, and maybe they need to balance that out with some educational stuff from a couple of ugly bozos like us, share our page with them too. Help them find us, and maybe, you never know, that might be something that changes their life because you shared a feed with them. So hopefully it helps. Main lesson with today was documentation, especially in the winter months. Definitely documentation is huge. You can do that through a management software like RentRedi. If you do check out RentRedi, and a lot of people were asking us more about it, we have a couple of videos on our different platforms about management software, including RentRedi. We used to have a link to them on our bios. We don't anymore. But you can find them under RentRedi, and then there's a promo code of 2 guys, like our name, the words 2 and guys. That'll get you 50% off. If you don't have software, get software. If you use some other software, great. Do something. I don't care. RentRedi is good for newbies. You have to have software. That's my piece of advice I want to give to everybody. When you shovel a walkway, take a photo, document it, put it into your software. When you respond to a tenant complaint or call or maintenance issue, document it, put it in there. When you want to when you want to move somebody in, screen them. Use that process. This RentRedi lets you actually have your tenants push a button and make a rent payment. They get an automated receipt. This stuff's huge. This stuff is very, very huge and settles so many disputes later. If you're looking to save a butt by save your butt by not cutting a corner. But if you're looking to save a buck by cutting corners on this kind of thing, don't. We thought we were smarter than that. We thought we could get away without it. We use Dropbox, we use spreadsheets. We only have a couple of units. Man, one mistake and it cost us way more than software would have cost us for a whole year. So hope that helps out a little bit. I want to try that. I want to give it a try. I'll have to keep growing. And patriotic lend. He's asking. Got it. Okay, cool. I got to hop off. Where's my brother? He's not my brother. He's just my business partner. And he's actually wandering around the office. He was out and about today. I was out and about all day. I saw him walk by my office a couple times, but he's on the wanted poster behind us over there. We'll probably have him on a live one of these days. He likes to go live when he goes to foreclosure auctions. We show you all sorts of cool stuff on lives. But while we're in the office, I've got this new software that lets me broadcast to everybody, like all the YouTube people that are out there right now watching, TikTok and Instagram. And when we're out in the field, usually we can only broadcast on one platform. So we'll do our best to try to do more of this kind of stuff with you guys. I will hop on as much as I can to support you in your journey forward on your path to financial freedom. If you haven't taken a second to hit the follow button, please do it now so you don't miss out. I guarantee if you don't become more financially successful by following us, we will refund the cost of you hitting that follow button 100%. Because it didn't cost you anything. That's the joke. That's the joke. All right. I'm gonna end on that high note, that amazing sense of humor that I have, and I will talk to you guys all again maybe later today or tomorrow. And we hope you guys have an awesome. Some of the icons, some of the pictures that are popping up on my feed are great. We hope you guys have a great and successful time out there in the world, and I hope you learned a little bit something about the world of real estate today, at the very least, by following Two Guys Take on